Paradise. In Luke, the 23rd chapter, the 43rd verse, and Jesus said unto him, Verily, truly, I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. This he was speaking to the individual who was hung on the cross next to him. Basically was confessing of Jesus' resurrection, faith in him being the Messiah, the promised one, when he said, Lord, remember me when thou enter into thy kingdom. And of course, Jesus, here we have the response, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. At least this is the King James rendition of that verse. But, where is paradise? Is this the same as sheol or Hades in the New Testament that's found within the lower parts of the earth? As we continue to study this word that's in the Greek, translated to paradise, we see that paradise is up. It's not down. The Apostle Paul was caught up into paradise. 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, the 4th verse. How that he was caught up in the paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for man to utter. And again, this word paradise is used one other time in the New Testament. It's found in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, the 7th verse. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So where is this paradise? Is this paradise in Abraham's bosom, which, as we saw in the previous sermonettes regarding the abode of the dead, is this Abraham's bosom, which is down in the lower parts, plural, of the earth? As we discussed, Sheol was made up of two parts. There was an inner core, which was hell, as we think of it, with the fire and the brimstone. Then there was a great gulf fixed between that, and then there was Abraham's bosom. We see that in Luke, the 16th chapter, beginning in the 22nd verse, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. Not up, but into Abraham's bosom. The rich man died also and was buried. And in hell, that is Hades, the lowermost part of Hades, the rich man lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Well, again, paradise, where is it? And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Now, reading this verse, as this translation presents it, leaves one wondering how this man could be in paradise and Jesus be down in the lower parts of the earth. Well, when we look at the word me in the original, the strong definition is a prolonged form of me. That is me, mine, my. The Thayer definition renders it me, my, mine, etc. Mine denoting ownership. Now this word is used one other time in the New Testament. We find it in Romans, the 16th chapter, in the 13th verse. Salute Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother, and mine, denoting ownership. So Paul is saying, salute Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother, and mine. Again, it's referencing that the mother of Rufus being Paul's mother. That is denoting ownership. Now, when we look at it that way, and we read this verse again, that's Luke, the 23rd chapter, the 43rd verse, we read it as such. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with mine in paradise. See, in Ephesians, we see that Jesus led captivity captive. Wherefore, in the 4th chapter, in the 8th verse of Ephesians, he saith, When he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now, that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? Now, how could Jesus, in fact, go up to paradise lest he first descended in the lower parts of the earth? And how could this man on the cross go up to paradise, since paradise is up, as confirmed by the Apostle Paul, and yet be with Jesus that same day? He couldn't. See, when Paul was referencing going up into paradise, we know that that paradise cannot be Abraham's bosom. Why? Well, because hell hath been enlarged. The lower parts of the earth, when Jesus led captivity captive, that is, when he brought those souls that were captive in the lower parts of Abraham's bosom, in the lower parts of Sheol, in the lower parts of the earth, when he led them captive, hell was enlarged. We learn that in Isaiah, the 5th chapter, the 14th verse. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. So what do we got here? We have Ephesians telling us that Jesus descended first into the lowermost parts of the earth. We have the man next to the cross, Jesus telling him, today thou will be with me, according to the King James translation, within paradise. Then we have Paul telling us after Jesus has risen and led captivity captive, that he went up into paradise, the same word that Jesus used to the man on the cross. Again, we see that same word used in Revelations. We learn in Isaiah that hell hath enlarged herself. Therefore, Abraham's bosom is no longer there in the lower parts of Sheol. For hell hath been enlarged. It is the portion of fire and brimstone, the lowermost parts of the earth, has been enlarged. Now, what's down there now is just hell. So, what we're learning is that translation of that verse with regards to me doesn't really mean me. It means mine. Thou shalt be with mine in paradise. So the man on the cross was in fact, his soul, when it departed to paradise, up. It didn't depart down. Now how can that be? How could it be? Well, Jesus said on the cross, it is finished. Okay? John, the 19th chapter, the 30th verse, when Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. Now, what was finished? Well, the prophecies regarding the shedding of his blood were finished. Psalms, the 69th Psalm, the 21st verse, is one such prophecy. They gave me also gall for my meat, and in my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. But, and though all the prophecies regarding to the shedding of his blood were filled, all things had yet to be fulfilled. And there's a difference, and we need to note the distinction. Recall Ephesians, the 4th chapter, the 10th verse. He that descended in the same, remember, Christ had to descend first into the lowermost parts of the earth. He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all the heavens, that he might fill all things. See, it's the shedding of the blood which brings the remission of sins. It's the shedding of the blood that loosed the soul of Christ, that sent the Spirit of Christ back to the Father, that put his body in the tomb, thus fulfilling all things. You see, when Christ said it was finished, what was finished? The fulfilling of all the prophecies relating to the shedding of his blood. But it's a process. God is moving with a definite plan and purpose. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, the 25th verse, beginning there. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. We are saved from the penalty of sin. We are being saved from the power of sin. We shall be saved from the presence of sin. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death, for he hath put all things under his feet. But when he saith all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is expected, which did put all things under him. Again in Ephesians, beginning in the 1st chapter, beginning in the 19th verse, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought in Christ when he raised him from the dead, and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly places, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, and every name that is named, not in this world, but also in that which is to come, and hath put all things under his feet, and gave him to be head over all things to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him that fulfilleth all in all. God is fulfilling all in him. Listen to Hebrews, the 2nd chapter, the 8th verse. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet, for in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him. See, God is working with a purpose and a plan. For this reason, seeing as Christ has fulfilled on that day that which was necessary to purchase the souls of the dead saints, the man on the cross was permitted to enter paradise on that same day. Then as Christ continued to fill all things, he led captivity captive, the saints in Abraham's bosom captive. He led them to paradise. And we know that he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh, I will give him to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. God bless.